I'm Timothy Vigil, and this is Just Another Word Podcast, the Word of the Day podcast for storytellers. Z is for Zenith. We've traveled through the alphabet over the last 26 days, going from Advent all the way to the letter Z. And we've built a lot of things. I've given a lot of advice, most of it unsolicited, though I guess it's all solicited since you clicked on this podcast. But regardless, we've built a world of primary plots, of secondary yearnings, and of tertiary textures. But it's only fitting that we end at the highest point. The zenith, the culmination of every choice that you have made for your character. The moment where the sun is directly overhead and there's nowhere left to hide. The word zenith itself is one of the most interesting we have. It comes to us through this fascinating linguistic journey. It originated in Arabic from an expression samt ar-ras, meaning path over the head. But in medieval Latin, scribes misread the M as N-I, giving us senate, which eventually evolved into the English zenith. In astronomy, the zenith is the point in the sky directly above an observer. In a story, it's the absolute peak of a character's arc. It's the moment of the highest tension in the plot. It's both of these things, and one of the difficult things is lining these up so that things don't feel too disjointed. Every story has a zenith, and that doesn't necessarily mean that the story has a happy ending. In fact, the most compelling zeniths are often quite precarious. Reaching the zenith often means there's only one direction left to go, down. In tragedies, we take this the farthest, and the zenith is the moment of greatest success that contains the seeds of a character's downfall. But the zenith is also the moment of clarity. It represents that point where a character sees the whole map. All of the tertiary details that you have established connect with their character arc. It all clicks into place. They understand why they had to go through the forest to get to the mountain. At the zenith, the character has to make a decision that defines them forever. The plot has brought them to the top, but their identity is what determines if they stay there or if they jump, if they soar or if they stumble. As writers, we have to manage that descent. The time at the zenith is so important. This is the place where hopefully your story arc and your character arc have both met, where your character has changed and they have become someone new who can now overcome the obstacles. This is the moment where all of the information that they have gathered along the way, their allies, everything comes together, and you have that beautiful moment where they step forward. When that ends, though, we have to be ready for what comes next. But it's important not to rush this. This is the meat. This is what you have been building to. We spend so much time building to it, and it can be easy to rush through it, particularly the character part of this. It will be easier to nail the plot part, to lean into all of the plot elements coming together. But when your character reaches their highest point, you have to let the reader sit there for a moment. Describe the world that they have entered from that height, using the sensory details we've practiced. Let the air of the scene breathe. Your character needs a chance to experience the change that they've just gone through. But we also need to remember that the higher the zenith, the longer the shadow. We need to use the moment of triumph to highlight what the character has lost along the way. If you're writing a long story, an epic high fantasy story, 300, 400,000 words, then that zenith needs to be long. needs to be powerful. We need to have time to experience all of these things being wrapped up, because we don't want a bunch of loose threads at the end. The shadow of everything needs to be brought into this Zenith so that we see how the character has gotten here. But once we're finally done, once the Zenith is reached, once we've lingered for a moment, once the character has reflected, we got to get out. We need to exit the story. We need to allow the reader to take it away with them. We have to get out of the way. We should be lean here. We should be responsive. And we should bring the story to its natural conclusion. There are a few exceptions. If you're concluding a series, spending a good amount of time at the end can be valuable. But even so, it is often better to not linger once everything has been resolved. That we step away and we leave the reader with questions. From the beginning to the Zenith, storytelling is the art of staying awake, of keeping vigil, of being aware of what's going on. We tell stories to find the universal in the specific, to give voice to our characters' yearnings, and to find the whimsy that is always there, even in the dark. We have gone through so much in this first series, and I call it a first series when tomorrow I'll put out episode 1 of the second series. But I just want to thank each and every one of you who's listened to an episode, who's given a rating or a review, who said something to me in private. I want to thank you all for being here. This is the zenith of this series. This is the ending of it. We have reached the top. But this is just chapter 1, not the conclusion of the story. So I hope you'll join me as we move forward, as we step into more new words, as we explore language and storytelling. I'm Timothy Vigil. Thank you for listening.